Hi guys, it's Cindy Leach, your polymer clay tutor, and today's PCT mini toot. I'm going to show you how to pierce a hole into a lentil bead. Now this is a polymer clay lentil bead, of course, and I have done a tutorial on how to roll these really cool swirly lentil beads, and this particular one was done using a mod cane, which I've also done a little video on as well, so you can check those out. But some of you have requested that I do a video on piercing the hole in them, which is a little different than most other bead piercing situations. Now, actually, I have a video on piercing beads as well, but the lentil bead is a unique shape that's a little trickier. So I'm going to just show you some tips on how to do that. Now, I have on the table here some of the ones that I rolled up the last time. I've actually let them just sit. They've been sitting for, I don't know, a week or so, and they haven't been baked yet. So if they've been sitting that long, it's actually really a good time to pierce them when they've been sitting for a little bit and they're not all super warm and squishy. They distort really easily if they're hot and squishy, but if they've been sitting a long time, like a week, which normally I wouldn't wait that long, but I knew this video was going to be coming, what you're going to want to do is just sort of warm them up just a little bit. And you also want to make sure that there aren't any little flat spots on this particular bead, though I don't know if the camera will pick up. There's a bit of a flat spot from sitting around for the week. So I want to get rid of that. So I'm just going to take my whatever piece of acrylic I had for removing or for making the bead in the first place. I'm just going to do a quick roll to make sure that it's smoothed out, that that little flat spot is removed, and that kind of thing. Now, these particular beads will fingerprint when you're trying to pierce the hole. So this is a really good time to wear a latex glove, or non-latex if you're allergic to latex, but whatever it is, that a nice little fitted glove will work great. And if not, you can also put a little bit of cornstarch into your fingertips and see how it's filled up all the little gaps in my really manly fingerprints. Well, this will also help keep you from leaving fingerprints on your beads. So the trick with these is to, if you're piercing them this way from side to side, is to hold them super gently and just hold them kind of in this little V in your fingers right here. Don't squeeze it, don't push hard. All of this has got to be done with the gentlest touch. If you're squashing at it, you're going to wreck it. And that would be a shame because these are really pretty little beads. Now you're going to want to have something to pierce your bead with. There are a few options, but the finer and the stiffer and the straighter and sharper your bead piercing tool, the better. So these are some little bead piercing tool pins that came with my Amico bead rack. You can also buy them just bead pins separately. Sometimes they have a little copper tip on them and stuff like that. You can use something like this, which is like a kitchen skewer thingy for like trussing up turkeys and stuff. But usually the tip is not super, it's super pointy, but it's not super clean. So you may want to sand it down and make it a real nice sharp point. And also the wire is a little thick, and the thinner the hole is, the better. This is also a bead piercing pin from the new Sculpey bead bead rack system. This would work. It's really nice and sharp. It's really stiff and straight, but it is also kind of large. You'll find that these finer wired ones will work really well. If you had a really, really long, sharp needle, it would work as well. Okay, so I'm going to just, and another option you can do is, okay, so say you don't feel like waiting for a long time, or you really had to roll your bead for a long time to warm it back up and straighten out the shape or whatever. You can just throw it into some ice water, a bowl of ice water, and it will firm that up and make it a lot less it will distort a lot less if you throw it into some ice water first. Then you take your piercing needle and you can either dip it into the water or you can dip it into some cornstarch. I'll dry it off first and just put it in the cornstarch. But it'll give more resistance to the needle. And then, now hopefully my head isn't in the way, but I'm going to come up from the top center and try to look over this bead, pierce it right on that sharpest edge, and look straight above so that I know that it's nice and straight. Then I'm going to just twist, 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 trying to keep it as straight as possible. And you want to make sure that your line is going straight through the centers, and just keep twisting it. Now, when you've done this a few times, maybe practice on just a lentil shape that hasn't got all this beautiful swirling to get good at it. But just twist, and notice it's just barely sitting in those fingers there. And I'm just barely pushing down as I'm twisting. I don't want to get a great big dent in the top there. And as I kind of twist, 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 you can kind of feel it because it tapers down in here. Your fingers are pretty sensitive. You can start feeling the wire coming through the other, coming down to the center of the bead. Now, as you come closer to this other edge, what you're going to do is come up really, really slow. And if you're, now I've come up, now I don't know if Doug will be able to pick it up, but I have not come in the center, but I can see, I haven't come right up through the right edge here, but I can see where I'm at. So what I'm going to do is back out and come from the top side where I want that to be. And if I do this gently and twist, it will find that channel that's there and come through it. Now, hopefully I meet up quite nicely. It should come out quite well to the other side. See, and it came right out the hole there, exactly where that channel is. So it's, if you go all the way about 99%, come right up to the tip, even if you poke it out, now I accidentally poked it out a little bit off from the edge. If I just make a tiny, tiny little pierce mark there, it's no big deal to fix that just by smearing over it, and then come again from that side and meet up with it. Now we've got a nice hole that goes all the way through, and it's right on the edges. Now, if this hole is too small for you, say you wanted to use a piece of cording that was much thicker than this wire here, you can always drill it out, drill the hole larger after it's been baked. It's a lot more difficult to try to drill one of these beads after it's been baked straight. It's just really tricky. You have to set up a jig or do something like that. But when it's raw, it's quite easy to meet up those two sides if you go all the way to the end and then just come back through this way to finish it off. Now, somebody also asked me if I could show how to do it from from the center all the way through. Now, this one needs to be re-rolled. I can see a little mark on it, or maybe I'll grab one that doesn't need to be re-rolled so we can just get going here. Yeah, this one's fine. All right, so then I've got to grab another bead piercing tool. Oh, and while I'm thinking of it, see this one? I went to go grab it and then I tossed it to the side. It's bent. You can really see it's bent when I try to roll it in my fingers. If you use a bent one, the hole's going to go whoop, right out the side and you're not going to get a straight hole. So make sure that your bead piercing wires are straight so that you have a better chance. Now, this is going to be a lot simpler because it's a shorter distance to go through the middle this way than it is to go through the long way. So I'm just going to look and try to go as straight as possible. I'm going to do the same thing. I can just use a little water on here, make sure it's lubricated. Go real slow. And when I feel it, if I can feel it just touching my skin on the other side. So I go really, really slow. There, I felt it, but you can't really see it yet. That way I can come through from the center and make sure it was really in the center of that little swirl, and then meet up with it real easily now because there's a channel there already. So just come through, and it'll end up poking right up through that hole. So you can bake it, do it that way as well. And that would have a completely different look to the when it was strung. Now, just a couple of little quick pointers. You can bake them a few different ways. You can do it on the bead rack like I did here. Or you can take your pierced bead and set it, if you don't have a bead rack and you just bought the pins, you could set that into a bed of cornstarch if you like. Or you can also bake them this way. You can fold, take some file folder or whatever. I actually have a little scoring tool, like from Martha Stewart. And so I just scored it every 1 inch and easily folded it into an accordion. But of course you can do that by hand. You don't need a score thing. You can either leave it on the pin and just let it bake in a spot like that. Or if you only have one piercing pin, what you can do is back the pin back out and the hole will stay there. And then you can just bake it like that inside your little channel. Alrighty, you can have it a little tighter than that. So those are all my little tips for making bead piercing. The big thing is to be gentle, go very slow, try to go as straight as you can, go 99.9% of the way, just let that little pin pierce out the other side and then come back through the other direction so that it meets up and it's in the perfect location. You can use the ice water to make it firm, and you can use a glove or cornstarch to keep it smooth and fingerprint free, because you really can't sand these very much at all. You could do a light sanding, but once you sand, that little swirl will get removed. So you can't really sand these beads too much. You can so you need to make sure it's as fingerprint free before you bake it as possible. All right, so good luck with that and try it out. It takes some time to practice it, but it is something that you can do. Alrighty, so if you like this video, do let us know. And if you have suggestions for techniques that you don't know how to do, products you would like me to test, or anything else in regards to polymer clay and working with jewelry and that kind of thing, then do leave us a comment in the comment section below. And don't forget, we have tons and tons and tons of videos, so we may have the answer for you already. So make sure to search through and watch some of those videos we've done before. All right, we'll see you next time, and bye for now.